Today we're going to take a look at 5 ways in which Alex Lifeson from Rush influenced what I just did there, and how you can learn from what he did too, not just to sound like him, but to come up with cool ideas of your own. And welcome to Music with Marky. Way back in 1968, when the Beatles looked like this, and I looked like this, Alex Lifeson grabbed a couple of his fellow country mates from Canada and formed a band called Rush. And no, the other 2 guys were not named Geddy and Neil. Actually, Alex's first 2 bandmates were bassist and frontman Jeff Jones and drummer John Rutsey. Rush, we all know and love, formed in around 1974, and for the next decade or so, they were making music that became a huge influence on me and what we're going to be talking about today. So let's take a look at 5 things that Alex did during this period and on past that, and how you might be able to take these things and turn them into idea starters for yourself. The first thing we're going to talk about is more of a sonic choice than it is an actual technique, and that is what you saw me do there in between the riff and when I went to the chords, and that's with distortion on, to play the full bar of the chord, all the notes in the chords, rather than just the power chord. You can think of this iconic Rush song, if you played it just as power chords, doesn't have the same effect as if you play the full bar. And also, of course, when he was playing these lush full chords, he would stick a chorus pedal on it, and I'd say, for some of you, bring the chorus pedal back. I don't hear it much anymore. In any case, the main thought is to step away from bar chords and start working on playing full major, full minor. Maybe you can mix in some 7 chords if you want. Major 7. And I've got a whole lesson on where you can play major and minor chords. I'll link that up here in case you want to know or don't know yet where you can use them and in what context. The second concept I got from him that I used here is this fairly simple one, but I hadn't heard anybody else do this, at least in the context of distorted electric guitar. I would hear it in acoustic parts if you think about the intro to Yes's Roundabout. And that's the basic harmonics. And Alex, with that lush chorus effect on it, would take a lot of times where he would lay back on the guitar and either there was a keyboard or a bass part in, and he would fill it with those harmonics. And again, that's just more of a concept, and it kind of leaves you, if you're going to play the open string harmonics, stuck in keys that have those notes, G major, C major, those kind of keys. You can get a little bit more creative with it if you're playing in keys, say like C minor, and you want to play, you can use tapped harmonics. You could use like a plucked harmonic of a note like E flat that's not available normally. And again, if this is something that you don't know how to do, I have a lesson on how to do these advanced harmonic techniques, and I'll link that up here. Okay, getting into the more meat and potatoes type ones now. Item number 3 is Phrygian, Phrygian, Phrygian. The first time I heard this mode being used, this exotic, almost Spanish kind of sounding, maybe a little Middle Eastern sounding mode, was definitely through Alex Lifeson. And just to give you a quick overview of what the mode's about here, we're talking about playing the major scale, but starting on the 3rd note. So if we were in G major like I played here, you would start on B. And what happens when you start and stop on that 3rd note of a scale, if you build chord progressions off of it especially, you get that very exotic sound. So if I have the B, C, D, and I start playing leads over that, it has that cool kind of slinky exotic sound, and I started exploring that because of hearing Alex Lifeson do it, and it was the first time I'd heard it in rock music, whereas it was only kind of maybe in like flamenco music and other types of classical music before. And again, one more time, if you want to really dive into the mode, I have a lesson on that, so I'll link that up here. I've always got another lesson going more into something for you. So now item number 4 that I used towards the end of the solo there was pinched harmonics, staccato pinched harmonics on the 1st string. We all think about pinch harmonics in context of maybe a bend on the G string, your pentatonic. But that kind of hitting them on the 1st string where it's a little bit harder to get the pinch to ring out, where you turn the pick on that angle and have the pick caught between your finger and the pick at the same time. That's a very Alex Lifeson kind of thing, and it's good when you're trying to add to that slinky kind of feel in the Phrygian stuff and get those very high-pitched kind of sounds out of it. Now let's take a look at the last technique. This last thing is the most shreddiest of all of the items that I'm going to talk about here, and that is to take these one-note tremolo picked, or excuse me, one-string tremolo picked runs to connect between two different places. Like a lot of us play in boxes. I might be playing in E minor, using that E minor box, and I want to get over to the G major kind of box. Alex would do this thing where he would play, or does this thing where he plays on one string and connects runs where he tremolo picks. His right hand is kind of going as fast as it can, and the left hand isn't always playing one note per every note that he picks, which is a technique that I actually like to use quite a bit because that almost, it can get a little bit out of control sounding, but it has more of an honest feeling to it when you're expressing either frustration or you want to play over that really slinky kind of stuff where it's not all about this kind of metronomic precision. And so you take something like a and when the right hand got going there, it was still clean. I'm playing the notes correctly, but every so often I'm double picking notes from the left hand to the right hand. So knowing your scales up and down on one string is very useful there for connecting between spots, and doing runs like that can have a nice quality to it and release a lot of energy if that's what you're looking to do in a solo part. So there's 5 things, 5 concepts and ideas you can take and mangle them up into your own versions and see if you can have them be part of your own style. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I get back to everyone as soon as I can. And until next time, guys, keep making great music. Hey friends, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. It makes the whole world better.